Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, some big news coming out of the UK. Of course, this weekend marked the fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. A big money fight here, no doubt. However, the fight is now in jeopardy. Conor Benn has tested positive for a PED, a banned PED, called clomiphene. Now, clomiphene, apparently, again, I'm not an expert when it comes to these sort of things, but from what I've read, it is very commonly used post-anabolic steroid cycle to basically, I guess, rebalance your hormones to a normal level, you know, things like testosterone, etc. In fact, you know, this was the same drug that Brock Lesnar tested positive for, I think, after he fought Mark Hunt in the UFC. So yeah, it's a banned substance. Conor Benn has tested positive, and now the fight is in limbo. As of right now, the British Boxing Board of Control have released a statement essentially prohibiting the fight from taking place. However, Eddie Hearn is seeking court injunctions to essentially overrule that and to allow the fight to continue. Is it on? Is it off? Right now we don't know. Now, if you followed this channel for long enough, you guys know my opinions on PEDs in boxing. I think right now the ideal or the only real solution is just to basically allow everyone to juice, because if you look at like the landscape in boxing, there are various different bodies across the globe with different regulations. One PED is legal in one country, whereas in another it's not. As far as boxing goes, it seems that certain guys, when they test positive, get a slap on the wrist or nothing happens, whereas when other guys test positive, they get suspensions. You know, there's no consistency. To me, it seems like certain fighters in privileged positions are given far more leeway than your regular fighter or a B-side fighter. So as far as I'm concerned, I think boxing should have like a Pride MMA type of deal where they don't test for anything. Let these guys go at it. I know a lot of people are not going to like that, but I think it's fairer than the current landscape. I mean, I think this Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn fight and the positive test has really exposed how nobody in boxing really cares anyway. Nobody takes it seriously. I mean, look at Eddie Hearn. Look at Eddie Hearn. He is now saying the carte blanche opposite of what he said when it comes to Dillian Whyte. Now, before the Oscar Rivas fight, Dillian Whyte had an adverse finding in his drug test. That was conducted via UCAD. Eddie Hearn back then was saying, well, all of his other tests were clean. His VADA tests were clean. Bloody blah. The fight transpired and it happened. Now this happens. Conor Benn's failed a VADA test. But now, when it comes to Conor Benn, Eddie Hearn has turned around and said, well, UCAD do not recognise VADA. UCAD are the anti-doping body in the UK. They test, they set the rules, and according to UCAD, Conor Benn hasn't had any violations. Conor Benn never failed any UCAD test. So therefore, according to Eddie Hearn, the fight should go on. Well, that kind of contradicts what he said in regards to the Dillian Whyte scenario. And it's interesting as well, you know, now Eddie's playing the card that UCAD doesn't recognise VADA. Well, in that case, if that's how he feels, then why did he pull Joshua Buatsi out of fighting Jean Pascal in the IBF Eliminator? His reasoning was that Jean Pascal wasn't cooperative when it came to VADA testing. Well, according to Eddie Hearn, UCAD doesn't recognise VADA. UCAD are the governing body, so why does it matter in that case? Why does it matter? And of course, you know, there's also the Eddie Hearn sound bites of him saying the likes of Canelo Alvarez are cheats and they will forever be cheats, yet skip forwards a few years. Eddie Hearn is Canelo's best buddy and loves working with him. Again, it's not just Eddie Hearn. Nobody really in boxing takes drug testing seriously. It's only when a B-side fighter fails a test, that's when it becomes a problem. Look at Jarrell Miller, look at Alexander Povetkin. You know, these guys are filthy cheats. Even Luis Ortiz, for example. But when it comes to the house fighter, you know, some of these guys get TUEs, retrospective TUEs, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know who I'm talking about. So yeah, the A-sides basically have carte blanche to do a lot more, and when they are busted, the whole industry seems to be out to protect them. You know? So as far as I'm concerned, let everyone juice. Let everyone do what they want. At least then it's an even playing field. That's how I see it. But, you know, this whole situation goes to show that the establishment in boxing doesn't really care about drug testing. It's really just another way to protect the privileged A-side fighter, as far as I'm concerned. And it's interesting, you know, I'm sure we all remember when Charles Conwell fought Patrick Day on a DAZN USA card, which Eddie Hearn promoted. And after that fight, after what happened, Patrick Day passed away, rest in peace. And after that fight, Eddie Hearn came out with the crocodile tears and, you know, saying the usual tripe, boxing is so dangerous, we need to respect these warriors. Yet here we have a scenario between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, where one guy has failed a test, the A-side guy in Conor Benn, because he is the A-side. He's failed a test. The B-side, Chris Eubank Jr., is weight drained. He's fighting at a catch weight of 157, and he's not made that weight since, what, the amateurs? He was saying probably when he was 18 he last made that weight. So he's fighting at a catch weight with a rehydration clause against the guy who has failed a PED test. But, you know, Eddie Hearn, he cares about fighter safety. You know, just like he never told Team Rivas about Dillian Whyte's adverse finding before their fight. I mean, Eddie Hearn's a scumbag. Let's be real about it. The guy's a cretin. It is what it is. I mean, he's there to make his money. You know, that's what it is. And he's there to protect his investments. I'll say this right now. If the roles were reversed, and I know this is a big fight, and Eubank is a big name, but if he tested positive, I guarantee you that this fight would not be going ahead. I think it would have been deaded a long time ago. Because bear in mind, from what I've read at least, I believe that this adverse finding was found in a test from early September. So it's been a long time. And yeah, it goes to show again, like drug testing in boxing is a sham. It's always been a sham. So why not just remove the whole lot? Let these guys go at it, see what happens. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. But we'll see what happens in regards to this fight. Will it go ahead? Will it not? We shall see. Maybe they'll try and get like a different licensing body to sanction this. Maybe Luxembourg, something like that. That's been done before with David Haye versus Derek Chisora, of course. So maybe this fight still goes ahead. We shall see. But, you know, the industry will do their best to protect Conor Benn, just like they've protected him his whole career. Very selective matchmaking, ducking certain guys. Again, this guy went from struggling with journeyman to icing guys cold in quick succession. So yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Conor Benn more than likely has been juicing the whole time, which isn't my main issue here. It's not that Conor Benn tested positive. It's more so that the boxing establishment are trying so hard to protect this guy, yet when other guys fail tests and test positive, it's the end of the world. They are filthy cheats. They should be banned for life. I mean, let's ask Tony Bellew what should happen to Conor Benn, because when it came to the likes of Povetkin or Luis Ortiz, you know, these guys are putting people's lives in danger. They should be banned for life. Let's ask Tony Bellew what he thinks about Conor Benn. You know the narrative will be, oh, Conor Benn, I know Conor Benn. He's a great guy. He trains so hard. He would never willingly take anything. Just like he said about Billy Joe Saunders, Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte. We know the score, guys. I mean, Tony Bellew's going to be getting on his knees a lot in the next few days, slobbering and sucking. He's going to need fucking knee pads, that brown-nosing prick. But yeah, the British boxing scene is a fucking joke. It's an absolute joke. What I am looking forward to, though, is all of these paid-for channels trying to spin the narrative. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'll be interested in seeing that, no doubt. I guess Eddie's going to have to get his checkbook out, maybe. Who knows? Listen, man, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have a laugh with this whole scenario. But yeah, regardless, if I had to guess, is this fight happening? I'm not sure. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. But what about you guys? I'll tell you what now, actually. If this fight does get cancelled, they may as well just make Chris Eubank Jr. versus Felix Cash. That'll be a decent fight. Put it on regular DAZN. I'll be happy. But yeah. Yeah, it's what it is, man. Again, I believe if this was the other way round, if it was Chris Eubank Jr. who tested positive, I think this would be a much different scenario. I believe that the fight would have been called off, to be honest, because ultimately Conor Benn is the money guy. He's the up-and-comer. He's the guy who has many future paydays. He's the guy in which the industry would rather win, whereas Chris Eubank Jr., 33 years old, he's been there or thereabouts, but he's never been the elite guy. So we know his limitations, whereas Conor Benn, there's a lot more money in him. But it is what it is. That's boxing for you. Again, when it's the A side, the industry is going to do all sorts of things, all what it can to protect these guys. When it's the B side, not so much. And this is yet another example of the hypocrisy surrounding drug testing. Eddie Hearn is full of contradictions himself when it comes to drug testing, as I mentioned, with the Dillian White scenario in comparison to this scenario, with the Jean-Pascal Boazzi scenario, with VADA testing. He picks and chooses when VADA matters or UCAD matters. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you? You couldn't make it up. But yeah, this is boxing in 2022. Maybe Conor Benn should have just got on a TUE. Would have made life a lot easier. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Peace.